So apparently it is okay for adults to talk to children about schmonlyfans.
I'm going to touch up on something too. The OnlyFans things did make her uncomfortable. That wasn't at a boiling point where she wanted to cut him off, but she herself wasn't comfortable with that around the fact that that's what Tyler did. She's not proud of it. She doesn't like it.
Somebody added me on Snapchat like 2 years ago and sent me Tyler's OnlyFans pictures uncensored without saying anything.
No.
I literally added this person back and they said, "Hi, Nick," and then bam! I was like, "What the fuck?"
So yes, this did make her uncomfortable. Again, that was going around and stuff like that. And then they want a relationship with her. And of course, she has kind of a religious background and she lives in a different kind of...
Yeah. For several minutes at length about the content an adult male put on his profile of him showing very revealing pictures.
Whether I was adopted or not, I wouldn't want to, hey, Dad, cool, like your wang's online. No, like I wouldn't be okay with that.
And that's what I've tried to say, even on my platform about it. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, even if I was doing it and I was not a content creator, I'm just, living my life. If people know my kids found out, they would be getting stuff said to them. Like, any kid.
I think that's what happened to me. I'll never forget that dude's name.
I bet you won't.
Yeah,
I bet you won't.
Yeah, he's blocked on everything.
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry. My dog.
I'll leave in about 10 minutes anyways. I unfortunately...
I need to get going too, actually, so...
Yeah, right.
It's fun to do this, though.
Well, I gotta figure out how to change my account, get another picture like Nicholas.
Definitely change your picture.
Change my account.
Get a picture because I can see a Google search incoming. And, just try to stay anonymous.
I try my best. I might have to change my name.
No, I'm just trying to...
My middle name or something.
This was discussed with a young girl who was 17. Not only were they aware of her age at this moment, but the teen did talk to the person holding the live, Tiffers, the day before, and private messaged Tiffers. She said it in a comment, and Tiffers even acknowledged it. Do I think that makes Tiffers evil? No, not at all. But the thing is here, we are identifying the context of the situation. Something I was crucified for by saying that I need more information and context, and we need to look at the whole picture here when we are taking such a stand against birth parents, especially those who are in the limelight, who have huge groups of people that are for them and against them, because this can lead to rumors, and rumors that they persisted to say that the adults reached out to them first, when that is not the case. The child in this situation reached out to C&T first, and they disclosed all of the social media of their biological daughter. I've seen all the ones that they have access to. The person E posted a bunch of them, so they're probably out there somewhere if you want to see. But the point of this video is not to drag this on, but just to clear the air. I started getting text messages. I started getting DMs that were threats to me because I did a podcast with them. And then it just got worse when other adoptees and former foster youth decided to say that I'm financially tied to this without any context at all. If you're gonna lie about me, if you're gonna say shit about me, you really can't be upset when I address it. When I address your public posts that you put out there that you're spreading to your thousands of followers. Because I have every right to defend my reputation. Because I am out here actually helping adoptive families. But some of you, it seems, you'd rather stay confused about my part in this and make assumptions and spread more rumors. So here's a few things that I want to clear up. First and foremost, Tiffers admitted to lying and spreading a rumor that it was Jenna.
Okay, wait, Tiffers, is it you who made the rumor that Jenna was Aaron? Is that you? Yeah.
Yeah, she admitted that on live this week. Another thing that Tiffers has said multiple times is that Tyler seeked out the teen. Tyler messaged the teen first, that they kept pestering and getting in contact, and they were forcing people to follow said teen and their biological daughter. This teen reached out to Catelynn and Tyler both through DMs themselves. Does that make the continued conversation over months okay? I don't think so. I think it was still inappropriate. But I think we need to address the facts here. And if you are going to paint a picture and pull out every worst thing that someone has done in a situation, are you really evaluating what happened? Or are you on a witch hunt because you are a reality TV vlogger whose views are tied in with as much drama as you can get? Yeah, let's think about that. Next, we have this comparison to grooming. Let's get into that. Grooming doesn't have to happen over a long span of time, but it doesn't have to be schmeshwal or SA involved. But there has to be positions of power and secretiveness and some aspect of establishing control and trust. And in this situation, from the pictures that came out, yeah, it looks bad. It looks like it could fit that definition of grooming. But if you are going to accuse someone of a crime that is that serious by nature, and you are disclosing this from an anonymous source, yes, you do need proof, and you do need to address everything that happened. And so their argument is, one, like I said before, that Catelynn and Tyler seeked out this teen. They didn't. The teen reached out to them. Two, over the messages, the teen asked Tyler not to say anything, not to share these messages, to keep them private because she didn't want to upset their biological daughter, C. Another key aspect of grooming is the intent to exploit or manipulate. There's a pattern of behavior as well where you're building trust and testing boundaries. And I can see how people attributed Tyler's behavior to that because he shared an article about what had been happening in the community with an adult that had abused some children at the school. And that can be seen as kind of like intimidating them out of context, though. In these conversations with the teen, they were discussing the safety and the well-being of the biological daughter and how she was doing. And this teen kept reiterating that C was changing their behavior, that things didn't seem right to them. Another aspect of grooming is the trust building, the testing boundaries, and creating secrecy. Now, is this something a court of law could actually be able to prove that these adults in this situation did? Because unfortunately, our criminal justice system is messed up and the burden of proof is on the accuser. So when we look at a situation like this, we're seeing this pattern of behavior, testing boundaries. And I think the things that stood out to most people about the testing boundaries was the texts that were in the middle of the night, which have been proven was incorrect because the time zones were changed. The text about the school and teacher that had abused students, that was seen as testing boundaries, and I can understand that. But again, this isn't an adult talking to random teenagers about their school. This is a conversation with a supposed teen that reached out to this adult specifically to relay concerns about their biological daughter and their safety and overall well-being. This was a conversation that they approached them with. As a parent, I can understand why Tyler was concerned about that. Should he have sent that to her? Probably not. That was probably inappropriate. But if we all look at this situation from a few steps back, I think you can understand why he was thinking that. When we have reality TV influencers and some adoption influencers who are on here saying, it's the intent that matters. It's the intent. His intent was to what? What was his intent? Do you have proof that his intent was malicious? No, I've talked to Tyler about this situation from the very beginning of what happened to why he sent certain messages to the very end. And I have tried to talk to the other side as well. But knowing what I do and knowing what I have access to from the messages, it is still clear that how it was depicted was manipulated in some regards. And unfortunately, birth parents are often demonized and portrayed as villains who are only up to no good. So again, another reason why I wanted the context of the situation. The intent behind Tyler talking to this teen wasn't to harm the teen, wasn't to abuse the teen. The intent was to make sure that his child was safe. That was his intent. Did he go about it in a good way? Probably not. But let's be honest about his intent here. It wasn't some nefarious thing. Okay, let's talk about the most controversial issue of them all. And I think that is the phone number that Tyler sent to the teen. And it apparently led to an escort service number. So they were having a conversation about someone who had been calling Tyler and sharing information about the bio child C. And in these few days, there were like a cacophony of calls that were going to Tyler, that were going to Catelynn. And recently, I learned on a live that Tiffers did with Nicholas, Catelynn's brother. Nicholas was getting calls, and so was Catelynn's mother.
Because that person called me 3 days ago, and it sounded like an AI to me.
So all these people are getting calls. It doesn't really seem like a coincidence to me. That's just too weird that it's all happening at the same time. So is it entirely possible that Tyler really got a call from that number and they had somehow had it look like the escort service number? I don't know. I don't know how that works, but it does seem fishy that all these calls happened and then it happened to lead to this. The teen had asked, like, what is the number that called you? There was a lack of trust on both sides, but I did find it a little odd that the teen was constantly questioning and pressuring Tyler for like evidence of what he was saying is true, because he was the one approached by it. So that's just some food for thought about this completely weird situation. And then the power balance. Like, obviously Tyler has more power in this situation. He's an adult white male who lives in the United States. He has reality stardom. He has more money than this teenager, which in my mind makes talking to the teen for an extended period of time inappropriate. But does it make it grooming? I don't think so. And I don't think a court of law would either. And another aspect of grooming here is undue influence or attempts to isolate the victim. And honestly, this wasn't really a situation where Catelynn and Tyler were saying like, oh, hide this from your parents, hide this from adults. There was that one situation where Catelynn had been talking about the Jenna catfish person, and the teen L didn't trust that person and had asked like, oh, should I tell a teacher? And Catelynn said that like, no, I don't think it's necessary, because it didn't seem that serious. I can understand why that can look a little shady, but from the other messages, there wasn't really any point that they were like, don't tell your parents about this conversation. Make sure you don't tell anybody around you. It wasn't like that. And if anything, it was the other way around, where the teen had said specifically, like, please don't share these messages. I don't want C, my friend, to see that I was talking to you and be hurt by what I said. So that just kind of made the situation extra weird. And again, conversation should have ended much sooner. But is this grooming? I don't think so. I don't think so, and I don't think a court of law would either. And another aspect of this is people say that Catelynn and Tyler should have told the authorities immediately. And again, I need you guys to remember that adoptive parents are villainized. These are reality TV stars who are constantly in and out of the news, that people are talking about them, talking about the situation. And on a good day, birth parents who have an upstanding reputation generally aren't listened to. Bad day, we consider all the rumors that go around Catelynn and Tyler, the exaggeration of their behaviors and all of this stuff. It is most likely that any authorities, whether it was CPS or whether it was a police officer, they really wouldn't have taken these concerns to heart. They might make a report just to file it and have it on record, but there's nothing that they could act on. And so when people say like, oh, they should have told authorities, she should have told authorities, you're talking to biological parents here. Biological parents who are worried about their kids' safety, who haven't dealt with the trauma. Are they thinking the most logically about this situation? No. But even if they had contacted authorities, what would have been done realistically? Nothing. And I know you guys say like, well, they're not their kids, so it doesn't matter. To you, it doesn't matter. But this is their biological daughter. It does matter to them. The safety of their child matters. Their well-being, the happiness of their child matters to them. So to go to someone for help and them say like, oh, well, it doesn't matter. You know, your legal responsibility was severed. So, you know, you just have to go home and not think about it. That's the best we can do for you. And in addition to that, I've personally gotten a restraining order against my brother when we were living at the same house. So I kind of understand like the different dynamics of safety issue when it comes to a child and family member and what can and can't be done. The majority of times, the lawyer I interviewed said that their concerns aren't taken seriously. Legal responsibility to this child was severed. You are technically not their parents, and this isn't enough to go on. So this idea of telling a person in authority doesn't really pan out the way that you would think. So I think it's just important for people who are urging certain individuals to call the police to recognize that not everybody gets the same treatment. And even if they were to take this to court, unless they had like 100% certain proof, again, the concerns would have been dismissed. I really wanted to address the allegations where Tiffany has directly said that she is exposing Melissa, the adoption educator at Adoptee Thought. She has named me specifically, and when you name a person specifically and they work with kids and they work with adoptive families and say that they're unsafe around children, those are serious accusations, which I think is kind of understandable why I would address them. I never called Tiffany out of her name. I was respectful. I was sassy back to her as she belittled and talked down to me and used constant pet names to me, a woman of color. And yeah, I gave her the same energy back after I tried to discuss it with her, and she just got hostile and made more videos about me. And the only other concern I think about me was they spread that everywhere that I doxed a minor, which isn't true. I did not release the full name of the minor. We did refer to the minor as their first name in the YouTube video. It's not a unique name. The social media handle was not in use, and I made sure to double and triple check that, and that the alleged minor had moved on to a new profile, and that profile was no longer in use and no longer existed, it completely disappeared. And so I don't think that's doxing. The only thing that has been reported and temporarily right now has given me a strike is the response to another adoptee's comments about me that were racist and ableist that I shared. That their profession that they clearly have stated on social media. I did not put their full name, their address, their number, anything like that. I'm allowed to talk about harassment that I receive, and I'm allowed to share public posts because they were out there. These weren't like something that I went to their house and found their journal of them writing me. No, they made a public mean girl post essentially, like over 20 plus times mentioning me, mentioning my books, like linking pictures, posting pictures of my books, talking about my social media handles and sharing that on Reddit on posts of people already enraged at the Catelynn and Tyler situation. And that led to constant harassment and threats and even unalivement threats towards me that I have received. So in my opinion, that in itself is doxing, because my safety was put at risk and they showed people where to find me. At no point have I seen any harassment of the individual who was racist and ableist, etc., against me. If there was, like, I do not endorse any bullying, any harm, any type of harassment. It was for awareness and educational purposes only that this type of harm happens to women of color and disabled adoptees that share their story and share their perspective in ways that some people just don't like, and that's fine. You don't have to like me, you don't have to like my work, you don't have to like my books. And if you don't like my books, like, there's a whole place where you can go write about that, and that's fine. I firmly believe in, like, the death of the author. Like, once my work is out there, like, you can critique it. That's fine with me. What's not fine with me and what I will address is the lies about me and the fair statements and outright rumors that I am unsafe around children and that I'm being bought by Catelynn and Tyler. So I hope this clears the air. Let me know if you have any questions. My name is Melissa, and I'm an adoptee and adoption educator, and I've recently become a controversial person on the adoption talk side because I have said that there needs to be more context and nuance that is understood and discussed before we completely villainize birth parents. I have clearly stated that they made inappropriate decisions that could have potentially caused harm, and that is not okay. But just saying, like, hey, we need more context to be able to understand why this situation happened so we can prevent it from happening again. I still don't get how that's a bad thing, because anybody can make a mistake, anybody could hurt another person in this community, especially when all of us have different degrees of trauma and whatnot that affect our actions and our opinions and the way we react to some things, and some things trigger some people more than others. So, and my intention here is not to encourage any bullying or harassment of people. It's literally just for awareness and educational purposes only, and to simply just state the truth, because this is not just a hobby for me. This is my work, and this is how I advocate and educate adoptive families and